Hey, Boy Manning here from Fenway Park, where the Red Sox secured their third straight win over Cleveland, win the series here. An important one over another wild card contender here, but a potentially bigger loss out of this one is Roman Anthony. Left this game in the fourth inning with oblique tightness. Looked like his left lower back area after a 6-pitch at bat, striking out. Walked away with the bat in his hand, holding that lower left side, walked straight to the dugout and exited the game immediately. Nate Eaton stepped into right field after Bregman's out in the next at bat. So the Sox pulled Anthony quickly. He'll undergo an MRI tomorrow to determine the severity of the injury. Here's Alex Cora talking about it after the game.
We'll know more during the day.
How's he doing?
Sore. He's sore.
Did it come about just like on that swing, or is it something he
The
kinda-
check swing before he mentioned,
So Anthony missed several games earlier this season with a lower back tightness situation. This didn't sound related. He said he's felt healthy up to this point when I asked him if he's been dealing with anything. He didn't know how concerned to be until he undergoes imaging, but doesn't sound great. Alex Bregman was talking after this game about how the Sox will have to move forward without him if he does end up missing time. Didn't love the sound of that. And Anthony added that this is worse than the back ailment he dealt with earlier in the year. He's become the leadoff hitter for this team. He's taken over in right field, while Wilyer Abreu has missed time since mid-August with his calf issue. Along with the Anthony news here, another not great update on Abreu before this game. He still hasn't started running after the Sox would hope that he'd resume his recovery earlier this week. That hasn't happened. It's taking longer than they expected. They still think he'll be back at some point this year, but without getting running, he's going to be out indefinitely, their everyday right fielder here. So Eaton had 2 hits after Anthony exited the game, an important part of the 8th inning where the Sox scored 4 runs off hits by Bregman, who drove home the go-ahead run on an infield single with 2 hits, as well as Trevor Story, Jarren Duran, who both had doubles to make it a 4-run 8th and put this game away after Garrett Crochet nearly blew it with an awful 6th inning where he gave up 3 home runs, 4 home runs overall allowed for him in this game. But he was cruising, aside from the solo shot early, right up until that 6th. Takes over the league lead in strikeouts here. Looks like it's going to be another excellent start for him. But a leadoff home run to start that inning, a few more through the middle portion of it. He ends up getting out of it and escaping the inning, but not before the damage was done. 6 runs off Crochet in that 6th inning. The Guardians bat around. Of course, that it was the location, particularly I believe with the fastball, that bothered Crochet. Crochet said he had a conversation with his pitching coach going into this game about how teams would try to go after him here, and it sounded like on 2 of those home runs, the Guardians did take that approach. Here's Crochet, who wasn't overly concerned with his performance after the game, talking about it after.
Felt like it was going really good until it wasn't. A couple bad pitches. But it is what it is. Got to move on. This interview looked a lot different 45 minutes ago, but that was a huge win. I felt like I was getting the four-seam glove side a lot more. That had been a big thing internally that I was, trying to work on. Was getting the sweeper below until I didn't on that one, is what it is. Stuff felt really good. Just made a couple bad pitches there in the 6th. Up until that point, I felt like I was being very efficient. Some balls were hard hit right at guys. Some were soft hit right at guys. Defense really made a lot of good plays and was putting me in a position to go deep into the game. And, it's, like I said, just a couple bad pitches there kind of ruined it.
So after the Guardians tied this one 7-7, Ceddanne Rafaela comes up almost immediately, ties this game with a home run over the monster where most of those Crochet shots were going. So the home runs were just flying out of the park in this game. And this was a great one for the offense. 11 runs, obviously. We talked the other day about that Duran inside the park home run, some runners in scoring position issues for the Sox prior to that, as well as just an overall offensive slump for a lot of guys like Bregman, Trevor Story, who breaks out in this one, and Duran, who had not done much leading up to that breakout moment in that win on Sunday. Now, since then, 18 runs, 36 hits over the last 2 games and change since that Duran blast, and he's getting loud applause since. It was a real turnaround moment for the Sox, who were stumbling a little bit going into that game after a couple of losses to the Pirates. Now, 3 straight wins, back on track, keeping pace with the Yankees in the division as well as the wild card hunt. They're neck and neck in that potential home field spot in the first round. So scoreboard watching a big thing. You're looking out to the left field wall after the Sox blew this thing and said, oh, New York's up. Toronto's up. They're closing in on the Jays for the division still. And Seattle, who's been slumping pretty massively since mid-August, was up in their game as well, a shootout with, I believe, Cincinnati. So the results weren't looking great for the Sox. They end up winning this one, so in terms of their playoff positioning, still looking great for them. But they're thin right now. It's just Nate Eaton. In terms of players who can go that right field spot, Yoshida could maybe play a little left field, move over Duran to right, and have someone else DH. But they don't have the first base flexibility and the second base flexibility that they did either previously. It's mostly been Lowe who homered in this game to give the Sox a 5-1 lead. He's been hitting amazingly since coming back from paternity leave, just keeping it rolling. He's been one of their better hitters since they picked him up in mid-August. So you're probably going to want him in at first base most nights, especially with the defense. Romy Gonzalez slides over to the second in that case. And so do you bring back up the password? Is Eaton going to be the everyday guy out there in right field? Do you get a little crazy with things and put Yoshida out in left field? I have no idea what this team's going to do if Anthony ends up on the IL, and I'd have to imagine that's possible here if this is worse than the back injury that forced him to miss several games earlier this season. We'll have updates here from Fenway tomorrow before the finale of this series against the Guardians. Sox going to be heading out west, hopefully with Anthony, possibly able to make a return at some point in that stretch because things are so tight in the playoff race and they're already injured. They can't afford another loss to a player that significant. But they manage a good win here, get Crochet out of trouble, and hope for the best with Roman Anthony. Again, we'll have updates here on Red Sox Clubhouse. Subscribe. Head over to our Twitter, Red Sox CLNS, and follow us there for updates when they happen. Tomorrow here at Fenway, we'll have the first word on how Anthony's doing when Cora speaks before that game. And, of course, you can go check out Cora's post-game press conference here on the channel. I'm Bobby Manning. Red Sox beat the Guardians 11-7 here at Fenway Park and secure their 3rd straight win, but lose Roman Anthony in the 4th inning to oblique tightness. We'll talk to you soon here on CLNS Media.